This is PENN Francis on SOMOS Radio.
I'm still in shock, man. Like, that was incredible. That was incredible, man.
Appreciate that, dude. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. We're really excited to have you, man. What's crazy for me is because, like, about a year ago, Andrew was like, yo, like, check out my cousin, bro. Like, he's on YouTube, like, making, like, crazy-ass beats and shit. And I was like, show me. And he pulls up a video, and you're literally doing, like, what you're doing in the studio right now, like, creating a track from scratch. And it's really interesting for me because I don't have like the biggest musical background in the world.
Right.
So when I see a track done, I usually see it like on Ableton, you know, produce or whatever, or like if Third is producing or whatever.
Yeah.
So for me to see it live in person being done a very different way is really cool for me to see. So tell me a bit more about the process, the creative process that you go through.
I mean, it's pretty similar to like Ableton or any DAW, really. It's just like in real time, you know. So I run everything, all the instruments through a mixer, and then run that into a looper. And the looper gives me 3 sections, so it's pretty much like 3 loop pedals in one. So I can kind of stop and start certain sections. So I'll put like the rhythm section on one, and then do like the like chords on the second one, and then do like the chorus part, if you will, and then just kind of stop and start them as I go. So it's just building it live. So it's pretty much like doing like Ableton, like making a beat, but like you can't go back because it's live.
Yeah, because
you know
that's it.
So it does come with a lot of mistakes, but I mean that's just part of the process.
But I feel like that's an amazing part of the process because it's like you're able to kind of freely express yourself without any limitations.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's just like no holds bar. You know, because when you're on something like Ableton, like a DAW, you're constantly starting and stopping between the drums and the chords and the melody. You're constantly second guessing yourself or how this sounds X, Y, and Z. But when you're recording it live, you just have to kind of go with the flow, which is something that I really like.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Tell me a bit more about your musical background. You know, is this something you kind of just dove into, like this a live production of music, or
no, it kind of happened gradually. It wasn't so I guess I'll kind of like run down my musical background because it'll, I guess, make more sense getting to the end. But I started playing guitar when I was like 12 about 12, and I took lessons for like a month, but the teacher was like not really showing me what I wanted to learn, so I stopped and just kind of jammed with my friends, learned the tabs or whatever, and just kind of jammed out. And I started bands when I was like 13, so I've been playing shows since then. And I started picking up other instruments like bass and drums, pretty much because like members would either like quit or like they'll bail, like mid. He wants you to sit over here, G.
Yeah, because sorry, we got Drew in the building, and he's on a mic that I don't think is functioning properly. So just take the headphone or get a headphone so you can hook it up into that one.
Let's get my cousin set up. This is my little cousin actually.
We're gonna get into that right now. We're gonna get into that.
Sick.
The family aspect into it.
All right, so let me just get through this little rant. If you could pass me the Ricolas too, that'd be sick. The Ricolas right there on the. Yeah, thank you,
Andrew. I'll get both of you in this.
Thank you. Okay, so I started playing like metal initially. I was playing in a bunch of metal bands.
I feel like that's the common thing. People get into metal initially.
Yeah.
Like that's like the.
I mean, it was like during the scene days, you know, MySpace and shit.
That was definitely the scene and the music. That was definitely the go-to.
Had the girl pants, like, you know, I couldn't do the scene hair because I have a fro. So I just had like the biggest nappiest fro. It was terrible. But so I started playing metal. Doing like backyard gigs and shit like that. It was like hardcore metal. Like, but what I would do is I had a little tape recorder, and so I would record one guitar riff that I wrote, and then I would like play it back, and then try to come up with the second part. So then I'll teach that to the other guitarists, and then teach the bass player the basic root notes to the song. So that's kind of where I would pick up on playing bass, and then the drummer would kind of like when we would take breaks, I would just ask him if I could play his drums. And then just kind of jammed from there. And as the band went on, the drummer stopped showing up, and one day we had a show and he bailed like day of, and I was like, well, I think I can play the parts. So I just asked somebody if I could borrow their drum set, the band that played before us, and they let me use it. So yeah, I pretty much learned on the spot and just kind of figured it out. And so I guess what got me to, so yeah, I was like doing that and like a bunch of bands breaking up, being in bands, and I always felt like I was really dedicated, and I was kind of lacking that from the other members for the most part. And so I would always go home and after practice or whatever and continue playing and practicing and writing and just doing me, doing things that I couldn't do with the band. And so I got into like indie music, and then I was like in a blues band. It was just like a bunch of bands, like bouncing from band to band. And eventually in about like 2012, I believe, my friend gave me a copy of Logic. And because I had GarageBand, and I'll just fuck around and make this ambient noise. Like, it was terrible. But so I got Logic, and I just like kind of ran with it. I didn't start taking it seriously until about like 2 or 3 years ago, as far as like the program. Because I always felt like, since I did come from like instrumental, like analog background, like jumping over to digital was just so foreign to me, and I kind of felt like it was cheating in a sense. Like,
really? Okay.
Yeah, because it was like for myself. Like, I didn't think like people that did it were cheating, but like for myself, I felt like I was cheating. Like, because I was like making these sounds off of like my keyboard. Like, I didn't have a MIDI keyboard, so it was like my computer keyboard, and it just felt like I felt detached.
So it was as if you were removing yourself from the human aspect of creating each sound that you would do live as a musician.
Yeah, it kind of felt more like a video game. Like, I was just playing a game on my computer, as opposed to like making a song. So I didn't really feel super fulfilled. So there was like a point in time where I was really like, I didn't know how to mix or like master. I mean, I'm still like getting the hang of that, but I didn't know how to mix at all. So I didn't like the way the drums sounded. The digital drums, I couldn't get like what I wanted. And so I made like a record where I just like found household objects and like banging on walls, or like just finding things to make a drum sound. And so anyway, doing the producing, like learning how to layer things in the program, and going with like recording guitar and recording like instruments into it, kind of led me to where I am doing what I'm doing now. Because it's like I said, it's pretty it's very similar to like recording a song on a DAW. But it's just like a live setting
in real time.
Yeah.
And what it really reminds me of, I was in San Francisco about 2 years ago, and there was this guy who literally created this contraption that he strapped to himself that had literally every aspect of an instrument you can think of.
Yeah.
You know, from the drums to like I mean, everything that you can think of. I don't know every single piece of instrument that he had on him, but he was really creating a song in real time, all at once. He was really moving his arm or his leg you know, his fucking neck, like whatever it would fucking make a sound, you know. And that's literally what it reminds me of, because it's like your ability to create layer by layer. You know, and that's what you're talking about briefly about the looping ability to, you know, with what you have here. So would you say that when you're creating a track, you literally take about 10, 15 minutes to create a track, and then you go back and you kind of fine tune it? Or how does that process kind of work from you when you're looking to record it and put it out? Or
it's a different process.
A different process.
It's a different process. Okay. For the most part, I just kind of experiment. It's really like I just like try to find make a weird noise, or sometimes I'll start with like a guitar riff, or I'll start with like a bass line or something. But that's kind of rare. Like, if I write something prior, it's kind of rare. I'm trying to get more into that, where I kind of structure something and then just like record it and then figure it out from there. But no, it's I take more time when I'm recording, like in a DAW. And that's kind of like one of the reasons why, because I don't know how to recreate those songs live, because the process was so different. Yeah, like I can do it if I did like samples and stuff like that, but it's like the process is always different. I would say it's just like I like to think of it as like I mean, this sounds kind of like maybe it's a little cliche, but just like a scientist putting together different concoctions to see what happens. You know what I mean? So it's not
Right.
it's not planned. Like when I record in the studio, I don't really plan anything out. Like I'll jam on it, find the riff really quick. It'll take me usually once I get something going, it takes me like 5 to 10 minutes to find that next riff that I want to go into it. So I don't like to sit and like ponder on anything too long because then I get tired of it and then
Right.
I just move on.
Yeah, that's very artist-like.
Yeah.
I feel like artists get so tired very quickly of what they create.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see it in everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
And then kind of going back what I mentioned before when I first saw your work was via YouTube or a video because Andrew showed me your cousin.
Right.
And we got Drew in the building.
What up?
What up, my boy? How you feeling?
Great.
How does it feel to be on the mic?
Little weird.
It's a little weird, huh? When you first get on it.
I think it's like the headphones that mess you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, right? I think that if you guys notice, I had like one in, one out. I was like, I kind of need that, like.
That's good. I do that when I record vocals and
Yeah.
shit. I don't know why I'm not doing it. I'll do it now.
But anyway, Drew, I wanted to get your take on your perspective on his creative process and his journey, I guess, as a musician. You know, what have you seen in regards to his growth? What have you seen him do, you know, from when he first started and kind of putting out those videos to where he is now? You know, how does that look like from you as someone who's been very close and kind of seen his journey firsthand?
Well, I'm going to take it way back.
Take that shit way back.
When we were younger, I think we both got a guitar like kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wasn't good at it. And he just like took off. And I kind of like stopped playing it. I bought some drums. Started playing drums. I was getting like decent. And then something happened. Shout out Ghetto Gato for taking my drums. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, that whole time, like even when I stopped, he was always playing in bands, making music on his own. But I think it like changed once he started using like you said, like Logic and actually started producing. Like I saw it change. It's like it was more than just like a band because he used to do a lot of bands and I used to go to some of his shows. But when he started doing the whole DAW and like doing the live performances, that really shocked me because like I hadn't seen him for a while. I went to his house and he showed me. He's like, "Oh, like check out this thing. Like I'm gonna play it." And I like recorded it on my camera, and I was just impressed. And like, too bad we couldn't bring the drum set in here because it's a lot crazier because he does live drums, he records everything, and he just plays along. It's like it's amazing.
Same. I agree. It's like it's really impressive to see because it's like most people they have to think about each separate section about what they're doing when they're creating the track, but you just kind of go with the flow. You create one layer and be like, all right, it sounds like this is gonna go well, and you start playing it and it goes perfectly well. You know, it's
I
like
appreciate that.
it's dope.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you think that you've well, obviously you have, but talk about a bit about what you just did here in the studio and adopting that to what you did with your EP, Temporary Loss of Information, because we're a huge fan of that EP here at SOMOS. Yeah, we love that EP, bro. Amazing project.
I guess that was pretty similar. It took me like 3 days to get the basis of everything recorded. It just took me a long time because I sat on it and like overthinking and whatever. But so pretty much the way that it started, I wanted to, because I've never done a mix, like a live, like you know how like producers have like their shit laid out and like they'll do like a 10-minute, 15-minute mix of their tracks. So I was like, all right, I'll just make one long song with like different sections. And so what I did was I recorded live drums. So I did like 6 or 7 different drum beats, and I looped them for about 16 bars, I think. And then I just kind of like laid them out as if they were their own individual tracks.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And then I went over and added, because I record my live drums with like just one condenser mic overhead. And then I add like a kick from the DAW and like a snare from the DAW just to beef it up more. And then, I just kind of took one song at a time from there. So like I just like started playing bass and then like got the rhythm section down and then added whatever else from there. But it was a pretty natural process. Like I feel like I tried to do it again and it was just such a natural process that like I'm going to have to find a different way to go about the next EP.
Right.
That and also the session crashed for my last.
No.
Yeah, I was like 5 songs in and it was just like trash. But it's all good. I mean, that's the cool thing about doing like this live stuff where it's just like improv, because like I
You don't get too attached to it.
no, yeah, exactly.
You know?
I mean, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because
Right,
like
right.
there are some songs that I'm attached to, but they're not. I don't know. I get kind of bored of them pretty quickly.
Right.
But yeah, that process for that EP, I think what took the longest was getting that whole, the little narrator that guides you through the whole thing.
I was gonna talk to you about that too.
Yeah.
What was your whole idea behind? It sounded like a Siri type voice. Like it reminded me of like a Siri that was just kind of there too.
I changed. You could change
But to
the
a
accent.
British.
Yeah,
A British voice.
I believe it was a South American.
Oh.
I mean the South African one.
South Africa.
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I was working at a plumbing job, and one of the plumbers. I mean, I was working in the office. I was like setting up appointments or whatever, and one of the plumbers was illiterate, so he couldn't read or write.
Oh. Okay.
And so he had me set the talkback setting on his phone. So I figured it out, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like I didn't know that was possible.
So you can literally have it say whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. So I typed everything into my notes, and then it read it back. You know what I mean? And so I just recorded it straight into the DAW. So I typed everything out. Like that's all pretty much from me. And then, but what got kind of weird, what was like a little tough, is that like I did it, and then I like realized that it was too long, and I didn't save the notes, so I had to retype everything. And then like midway through the EP, I changed my name to Penn Francis, because I was just going by Julian Keith, which is my first and middle name.
Do you mind talking a bit on that a bit more? You know, what was your whole motivation for changing your name from Julian Keith to Penn Francis? I mean, I like both of them.
Yeah.
But I was so used to Julian Keith.
Right.
And I almost called you Julian Keith.
No, I mean that's cool. That's my
like,
name.
oh,
So it's like, you know what I mean? I'm not tripping, but it was more so like when I started, my intention wasn't to go by my first name or like by my actual name. But I just couldn't come up with anything. And I was like, I'm not gonna let that hold me back from putting out music. I was like, I have to put something out, you know what I mean? So I was like, fuck it, I'll just put stuff out, and then I'll figure it out as I go. And like, hopefully I can figure something out sooner than later, because if it starts picking up momentum, then I'll be stuck using my name. And so I was trying to figure out like a logo that I can use for my name, and nothing came to mind. I was like, I don't want to use my face. Like I don't, because like eventually, like if all goes well, I mean, I have a project. My friend Joel and I it was a 4-piece band, but now it's a 2-piece project called Limbs. And so I was going by Limbs before. And so I was releasing all my solo stuff under Limbs. So once we started the band, then I let that be Limbs. And then I was just like, all right, fuck it. I'll just put, so I was like kind of stuck in like, all right, I'm not going to put any music out until I figure out a new name. So yeah, I just didn't want to be like, I don't want to be like the face. Like, I don't know. I've always liked some sort of mystique within artistry. Like I feel like I've always felt like it was pretty fucking corny just to go by your first and last name, like just because I feel like it. Sorry. My bad, dude.
I just fucking got that right now.
My bad, G. Yours is cool.
No, it's fine. I didn't care.
Is Barbarian your real last name?
Talking to the mic, it's on.
Yeah, Barbarian's actually my last
That's
name.
your real last name?
Yeah.
Oh, see that, but that's a dope last name.
But yeah, it's a pretty unique last name. Who the fuck has a last name Barbarian?
I thought. I mean, I know Alex is your name, but I thought Barbarian wasn't your last name.
Yeah, see, so I honestly thought it'd be cheesy to do that, to do my first and last name a while back, because I'm like, no one's even gonna think my last name is Barbarian. Yeah, and that's kind of fucking lame. like Alex sick, Barbarian. Oh, you picked that? Oh, you think you're like it's just this is my name.
But that's sick though. Like Barbarian just like kind of has its own vibe, you know what I mean? Like it brings like you can make a logo.
I mean, you don't have to justify it.
I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just saying like
whatever.
I'm just saying like it makes sense for you. And it makes sense for some artists, like if you're in a project and then you go solo and you're already known by you don't have to make another project.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because then it just doesn't make sense. But like for me personally, coming up like as like nobody, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, dude, like I don't want to be just Julian Keith. Like
that's fair.
You know what I mean? That shit is whack. Like for me personally,
yeah,
but
that's
like,
fair.
Because I have to use that shit all the time. So But the way that I came up with PENN Francis was actually in the process of like, I was like, when we were starting the band, we were like, well, we should come up with a name. I was like, we should just use Limbs or whatever. But prior to that, I was on tour and I was just trying to brainstorm on names and stuff. And I saw there's a cross street in New Mexico called PENN and Francis. And I was like, oh, that'd be pretty sick. So I sat on that shit for like a year or two. Like I didn't think that I would use it, but like I was continuously trying to come up with like a name for my solo stuff to not do Julian Keith. Yeah, so I was just coming up with all these corny ass names, and like I was like, and then PENN Francis just popped back into my head, and then I had done this little logo. Well, I was looking at the Life magazine logo.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna like fuck with that, and like I put PENN in there. I was like, oh, it looks pretty sick.
Right.
So I was like, all right, cool. I have a logo now, so I'll just change my name to that.
And that's also something that I wanted to touch on because when I go to your Instagram page, I mean, you're very structured in your aesthetic.
Yeah.
And it's very particular in your vibe, and it's very unique to it is that what it is you're doing. I feel like it fits you very well.
Appreciate that.
What's your background with that? Is that something you just picked up as well, or is that? I mean, do you just pick up things and you just fucking kill it every time, or like?
I mean,
You gotta be born that way.
Lady Gaga, baby. Nah, I mean, well, I went to school for like painting and fine arts and shit because I paint. Like, that's something I love to do, drawing and painting. I haven't really done it as much as I would like to, but yeah, I don't. With the Instagram thing, it's actually been driving me a little crazy because I don't know if you've noticed, like I was doing this pink shit.
Pink,
for a while.
yeah.
And
yeah, I do.
That shit was like so time consuming, and it was like whenever people would repost my posts, it just looked terrible on their pages. So I was like, fuck, like, and then I was doing that shit for like a year and a half, and I was like, this is cool, but like I'm kind of over it. Like,
yeah.
I was just trying to find ways to make my Instagram more interesting, and then. So yeah, I was doing more graphic design artwork for a while. So once I stopped with the pink shit, then I started doing more graphic design art, like putting that stuff out there. And then now, like I went on tour recently for about 2.5 weeks, and while I was on tour, I was like posting more selfies and like posting more like about my life, and I was like, this feels normal. Like this feels comfortable. Like I don't have to think about what I'm gonna post next, and I don't have to like. It felt too fabricated after a while. Like I was like forcing it, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'd just rather just do me, you know what I mean? And
right.
People like it, they like it.
I think SOMOS also went through that period of fabrication where it was just like we were just posting things that didn't really represent who we are and what we were doing
right.
as a group.
Yeah.
And we were looking to showcase more of who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of related more to our followers or people that were just kind of passing through our social media accounts. And I think that really does well with people who are, they'd rather see a human interaction rather than just something that you create.
Exactly.
Although, there's a give and take between them. But it's like a balance. Exactly.
There's a balance for
right.
sure. Like, because I was watching some like YouTube video on like some Instagram shit where they broke it down into sections where it's like you put things that you're interested in, things that you do, like if you make music, like post about that, post about like memes that you find funny, and post about like yourself. And so I realized that I was just lacking on like myself. Like I would look at, because I've always liked this like mysterious artist. I've always liked artists that wear masks and shit like that, and I've always been really uncomfortable with selfies. Like I fucking hate selfies. I still hate doing that shit to this day. I feel like a little teenage girl and shit doing that, but I'm just trying to just do it. Like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Because that's just, it is what it is. And, like, get more comfortable with, like,
it's 2018, bro. Fuck it.
Yeah. I know.
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
You got that front cam.
Hell yeah. Dude, the front cam, bro. Like, my homie pushed me in the pool. And my phone took a shit, right? It, like, fucked up on me. And now the only part, it started working again, luckily. But, like, the only part that works, the only camera that works is the selfie one. Whoa. So when I film shit, I have to film it like this. And, like... You know what I mean?
Sign,
it's just
bro.
so
That's
trash.
definitely a sign.
But yeah, so anytime I open up my camera, it's for sure selfie. So I'm like, fuck it, you know what I mean? Like posing and shit. But no, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to be more authentic and more just like, not authentic, but like more just true to myself, like in every way. And that's why like, I'm like, fuck it. Like I knew that this session was coming up, but I was like, I don't really want to like sit down and try to write something for too long and try to figure it out. Like, cause I do plan on like sitting down and doing that for like a live setting and stuff. But I kind of like the idea of just kind of shitting myself a little bit, you know, like
and freestyling,
making myself uncomfortable. Yeah. Like I think the best results at times are just like putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation and problem solving. Like, and that's why when you ask like, is everything you do like, or whatever you said, like whatever you touch is good or whatever. Like, it's just like, I just like touching whatever. Like I want to, if I don't know this shit, I want to try to figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and that's a very special talent because that's a talent of patience, because it really takes patience to
actually
sit down and
develop patience by that. Like, I don't think I was patient prior to that. I think I was really impatient. And like the process of, like I said, like with the bands that I was in and shit, I think I was let down a lot because of the fact that I set these expectations and I was impatient and just like really hungry to try to get shit going. And then like people have their own lives and they, you know, some people aren't as serious about the shit as you are.
Of course. And
so, like, yeah, it's just like, all right, well, I'm just going to sit down and figure it out. Like, I'm not in any rush to try to get like notoriety or anything. Like, I'm not doing it for that anymore. I was at some point, but now it's just like, I just do it for me.
Creative freedom and expression.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if people like it, then they like it.
Exactly. And I definitely respect that a lot. I wanted to dive in a bit more into the overall message. I know we kind of veered off from the EP that you created, Temporary Loss of Information, but I wanted to come back to it a bit and talk about what the ultimate message was, because I feel like there was a message embedded throughout the EP.
To some extent. So each track is kind of like, just like it. So pretty much what I was thinking was like a mixture between the Magic School Bus and like the Willy Wonka scene when they're on that fucking boat and it gets all trippy. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
Shit. You know what I'm
favorite
talking
scene.
about? Yeah, sick.
I don't. But.
You don't know?
You watched Willy Wonka?
I mean, I did, but I mean, it's been years, man.
Nah, that's like one of my favorite movies, dog. I can't even talk to you no more. Talk to you.
All right, we're done, guys. SOMOS Radio. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, this canceled. Everything's canceled. SOMOS Radio canceled.
I'll just look at him I'll answer your questions, but I'll look at Andrew now. No, yeah. So I was thinking about you know Magic School Bus, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
So you know how they'll go through the body and shit, and so it was pretty much just like it's supposed to be like a think of like the Small World ride, but just through my mind, pretty much. So there's like the first track, which damn, I haven't listened to it in a long time, but the first track is just like it's just like an introduction, and then the lyrics are pretty much like, I'd like to offer you a trip inside my mind. In a little while, you'll be in the front of the line. Whatever. Anyway, so then the next song, I think it leads into, I believe, like that porn. Like I sampled some porn because, like, you know, lust. Like I've had like my struggles with like porn addiction. Like I didn't believe porn addiction was a thing, and I don't think it was like a crazy fucking porn addiction, but it was like, dude, I'll jerk off like once a day at least. You know what I mean? It's just and I think it kind of.
It definitely becomes normalized after a while,
yeah.
And then you start to realize, oh, now it's starting twice a day, 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
man, it's all I do now.
And it's just like trash because like you, well, for me at least, like I would look at like a chick and just be like, oh, I wonder how she looks without clothes on. You know what I mean? Like as opposed to like, I wonder how her personality is and shit. Right. So I stepped away from the porn, but for that track, I actually went to the porn website and like found the right sample I wanted to use and whatever. So each song is pretty much just a representation of my life. Like there's a song where I sample skateboarding. I don't skate as much anymore. I still try to ride around, but like me and Andrew used to skate a lot when we were kids, and that's still something that I love, like as far as like watching skating, not so much skating myself. I'll cruise around with the homies and stuff, but and then that song Diva Daza, that's my grandma's name.
Track is super dope.
Appreciate it.
Padre Nuestro que estás en el cielo.
Yeah.
Santificado.
So this is something that we have to listen to, or no, we don't have to, but yeah, we do have to.
We get to enjoy.
We get to enjoy, But like as kids, it was kind of like we were forced like to have a prayer every Christmas Eve. Like we had like you can't like if you're there in the house, you have to be in that room and everybody's there and doing it. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, this is something I should record, and I had it recorded on my phone for a while, and I was like, I wanted to like sample it, and I did sample it like back in the day. I never released the shit that I made with it, but then I was like, oh, I forgot about this, so like it'd be cool to like incorporate like my family as well.
Right. Let's actually go ahead and play that track right now.
Okay.
Diva Daza off your EP.
Sick.
And then we'll come back to it.
Word.
Amén. Padre nuestro que estás en los cielos, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino, hágase tu voluntad, en la tierra como en el cielo.
I love that track, man, off the EP. Awesome.
It's actually my great grandma.
Oh, really?
That is your great grandma. That's my grandma, but that's his great grandma.
Okay.
It's a really weird thing. We're second cousins?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah,
okay.
My grandma and his mom are sisters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
Dope.
nobody believes us that we're cousins. They're like, what the fuck? You guys are lying.
Like, what?
Stop lying.
Yeah.
Uh,
He used to think he was black like, when we were kids.
Wait, are you from the Colombian side?
Yeah.
The Colombian
Yeah.
side.
So
okay.
we're both. So you're half what? Damn.
it's like Colombian.
Your first cousins once removed.
Basically.
Colombian Mexican, but then like there's like Egyptian in there too. No. Where's the Cairo from then, G?
But it's Bolivian. But
Bolivian.
Bolivian. But we did a DNA test, and they're from Spain. So
Got you. Okay. All right.
I mean, close enough.
Well, but yeah, so my dad's black, my mom is Colombian.
Okay, got you.
So
I thought it was black too.
yeah, he thought he was black, and we would clown on him. And we'd sing,
I think you mentioned that. I remember.
we'd sing,
they
play that
used to play-
funk.
That's so funny.
Play that funky
The music, white boy. He'll start
used to
crying
cry.
and shit. It's fucked up. We're bullies and shit. But that shit is hilarious to think about now.
Okay, so we're gonna be wrapping up soon. I wanted to touch base on what are you looking to do in the future? I mean, what's next for Penn Francis?
To be honest, I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time. I'm not. I mean, like I said, I have my project Limbs. We're working on an EP right now. Not too sure. I'm just trying to be patient with things and like take my time with things. So the next thing for Penn Francis is just another EP.
Okay.
And then I plan on shopping that out to some management companies and, try to get some help this time to make it a bit more official.
Right.
I'm I'm a part of a collective called Row 2,
Okay.
which is super dope. A bunch of producers. So yeah, we like, I don't know. I'm just trying to like blend everything in together as far as like figuring out what we're gonna do with, you know, Limbs and then Row 2 and Penn Francis. But as far as Penn Francis, I just plan on just releasing music, like just making music, releasing it, and kind of seeing where it goes from there. Like I don't really have any deadpan plans,
Right.
Although I should.
Of course. Well, I mean, I think it's a fine line to walk, because a lot of times artists don't want to be confined to, you know, these like set dates and, you know, these limitations. So like, okay, it has to be done at this time, on this date, and this has to be the sound, this has to be the look.
It's the whole creative process.
It's the whole creative process that it kind of gets lost, you know, if you go that route. But at the same time, you know, you allow yourself to not follow a certain schedule, and then you kind of get veered off into something else, and it never gets done. Or, you know, you kind of have to hold yourself accountable to these.
I'm super scatterbrained.
I feel like you're not, though, to be honest. I mean, like, I feel like you put out a lot of content, especially on Instagram and SoundCloud and everything. And it's like you put out a lot of content. So
I try to, you know what I mean? But it's just like, I mean, it's something that like is somewhat habit now. But like, like, for example, like the EP, like you're asking about the EP in simpler terms is about my scatterbrain. So each song kind of just like, it'll like kind of not fully end and just go into the next song, or like kind of lead you into it. But yeah, I think I'm pretty scatterbrained personally. It's just like, I had like said on Instagram that I was going to release 3 EPs in 2017. And this was right before I released Temporary Loss of Information.
Right.
I started the second one. Like I said, the session crashed, and I just kind of like, I was like, I need to just chill before I start another one. You know what I mean? I was like getting ahead of myself, and I think that the getting ahead of myself and the I don't know. I just want it to be a natural process. Like let everything fall into place as it will. As long as I keep working and putting in that energy and that effort, and like releasing stuff when I feel like it or whatever, and as long as it's somewhat consistent. I'm trying to get more consistent.
Right.
But yeah, as long as I keep doing it, I feel like it'll fall into place. Like I don't want to like plan things, and like you said, like it'll get you kind of lose the creative process.
Well, I think that's a genuine output in general, because I feel like I feel a genuine sensation whenever I hear your music, as if you're putting all your energy and genuine sense into these tracks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you could definitely feel it even when you were performing live here in the studio.
Yeah.
You know, you can feel it. There's a sense of not such straightforward production. It's a sense of going off of more of what you feel in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, so being able to put that into a production aspect and to put it out for people to listen to is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, I would like to figure out how to. I think the next thing to do for me, as far as the next EP, I kind of want to figure out how I can approach it in a way that I can perform it the same way that I did it here, which is like a little. I have to think about the live process as I'm doing the recording process. So it's just like, yeah, it's a little tedious, but but you know, I get it. Huh?
Ableton.
Nah, I don't want to do that shit.
Fuck
I mean, I use Logic, so I have to learn. I mean, I know a little bit of Ableton, but like, I don't want to bring my laptop anywhere. My laptop is like 6-7 years old now.
Dude, same.
That like,
I'm definitely due for a new laptop,
bro, for sure.
Fucking Drew and Frankie tell me every day.
Which one is it?
It's like 2011. It's like the same.
I got like
era.
No, but it's like, I mean, it's really bad though. Like the screen's cracked. It's like dangling.
That's how mine is.
No, his is worse.
My screen, just like I put it on my lap and it'll like, and then also I have to like find a sweet spot for it to charge and shit. It's so annoying, dude. But like it's just like it. And then now I don't know. It's just too much. I just need a new laptop, but like it's all good.
No, same. I'm definitely gonna invest in one very, very soon.
If you guys want to start up a GoFundMe, you feel me?
GoFundMe.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
For all the listeners,
For all the bro
SOMOS
companies.
Radio.
Shout out to all the bro
Save all
companies.
your money.
Yo, I'm about to put you on the spot a bit.
Yeah.
A while ago, you told me that you're working on a track, and you're like, "Yo, I feel like this will be dope for Somos.
Yeah.
But then what happened to it, bro?
Bro, that shit always happens.
It's the scatterbrain.
So, scatterbrain, number one. Number two, so I was trying to go in that direction of the Diva Daza, kind of like Latin vibe and shit.
Yeah.
And I started that shit, and I got frustrated like a motherfucker, so I put it away. This is typically what happens. All right, this is just kind of my work process. So I'll do something, and if I get frustrated and I'm not enjoying it, then I'll leave it alone for like a long time or like a few months, and then I'll get back to it and then be like, oh, okay, now I can like fuck with it.
Right.
So I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
I think I'm just gonna start something new though. I don't think I'm gonna do that one.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's something that I would kind of like. It's like I don't know how to phrase it, but something that I would kind of like to change. I feel like a lot of people, obviously, the type of music that we promote has a ethnic or just a world sound, but at the same time, I feel like we like to promote just all music in general,
right?
That we're feeling.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people like to associate Somos to like a Latin groove or whatever, which is cool because obviously, I'm not gonna lie, I like to play that shit.
Yeah,
it's just the truth.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like it kind of comes down to the overall message that we're looking to promote is more powerful than what it actually sounds like, because if a track can promote a message that we believe in, then that is more important than what it sounds like or the parameters that is.
So let me put you on the spot real quick.
Okay.
So tell me what the message of Somos is.
Oh, you did put me on the spot. Well, Somos really is just to essentially break down boundaries when it comes to different types of people, whether it be from a cultural perspective or religious, political, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's just looking to provide people with a platform that they could all be in accordance with and, all believe in.
Yeah.
And we feel collectively, I think that music is the best way to provide people with that platform that is most easily digested, for people. You can be from a different culture, a different background. You could have grown up differently, but maybe this other person who grew up completely from a different area, you guys can come together based off of the sound that you guys are both understanding.
Gotcha.
So I think that's what Somos ultimately looks to accomplish.
Yeah.
Not only with music, but with, visuals and art and just the overall message. And hopefully with this show also, we obviously, at least when I'm programming the show, I look to showcase music from all over the world because I want to show people that, hey, there's dope music from all over the world. Right. You don't have to just listen to what you hear on Power 106. Or, no diss to Power 106 or 96.3 Kiss FM.
You should diss. That shit is garbage.
Same songs I feel like we're all just very programmed, even with television too. It's the same thing, but it's really almost difficult to get people out of that mindset, and just to explore more, because that's all it really is. And if you just give it a chance, like
what do you have to lose?
It's really what do you have to lose? Just give it 5-10 minutes, and I promise you, like, you're gonna enjoy it because it's dope. There's a lot to offer all over the world. You just have to have an open mind.
Yeah, sick. Okay.
So that's Somos.
Yeah, which helps me out because you said you want to support music that has a similar message. So now that I know the message,
that's the message.
I can have that track for you then, son. I probably already have it for you.
There it is.
Probably just chilling in my hard drive right now. You know what I mean?
Is.
So, dope. All right, cool.
I'm glad that, and I'm honestly really glad that you put me on the spot and asked me that, because I feel like Somos Radio, although we focus it a lot around music, a lot of times we don't really promote the message and what it is that we're looking to promote. And you doing that, hopefully people that are listening right now can understand what it is we're doing.
Yeah.
All right. It sounds like we have to.
We're getting the boot.
You
probably saw it in the camera.
Yeah. He saw the reflection.
Yeah. The homie wanted his little.
Yo, man, I appreciate you coming out, man. It was a great,
very
great.
Thank you for having me.
Show. This was awesome. Thanks everyone for tuning in to Somos Radio. Again, every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., Dash Radio, Delicious Vinyl. Y'all already know. Let's get it. Tap into your vacancies. Flacco out. Lates.
I got the flu. Do you believe in love after love?
You have to be like.
I can feel something inside me. I can't even do it, dude. Do you
What if I just point this a little bit?
love after love? Yeah, that'll be necessary for sure. I can feel something inside me say I really don't think it's strong enough, no. Do you believe love to love? Yeah.
Thank you. That was Penn Francis.
That was it.
Thank y'all. We have Cher in the building, y'all.
Don't get it twisted. It's SOMOS Radio.